Welcome to Podcrushed. I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts, Sophie and Sari, Nava Kaplan.
Hello.
And we're doing a little...
Mixing it up.
Our guest is here for the intro. Weird, awkward. I get really nervous.
Awkward.
Thank you.
Who we have is the lovely Anna Camp. So you presumably know her from this season of my show, now our show.
Aww.
You might also know her from the Pitch Perfect franchise, also True Blood. There's also The Help. Most recently, you've got a film coming out June 20th.
That is correct.
Bride Hard. I'm going to assume it's a tragedy.
Yeah, starring me and Rebel Wilson. It's going to be so
Cool.
sad.
Awesome. Awesome. You're going to love this one.
Jazz hands.
Yes.
Jazz hands. Stick around. You're not going to want to miss it.
Welcome to Podcrushed. We're your hosts. I'm Penn.
I'm Nava.
And I'm Sophie.
And I think we would have been your middle school besties.
Slinging drugs and jorts.
Anna.
Asshole.
Anna. That's I stole that from Jiminy Glick. Anybody know Jiminy Glick?
I do.
You know,
I
feel
love
like
Jiminy
might
Glick.
love
Are you
Jiminy
kidding? I'm
Glick.
obsessed with Jiminy Glick.
Let's get into
It's
that.
so perfect. He's amazing. I mean, I've
Let's-
watched him forever. Should we wait for it or should we get
Let's
into
wait
it?
for it. Let's
Okay,
wait
great.
for it. Okay. Now,
Yes.
Anna Camp, let's start at...
But you know what? How about we?
That's Jiminy Glick, right?
Yes,
there.
I know. Keep going. Don't
Well, I'm saying
stop.
it for them because they're like, what is
I
he
do
doing?
not know Jiminy
It's a Martin
Glick.
Short character,
Martin
Yes.
Short, yes.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like, I think his best character.
It's so
Agreed.
good.
Just incredible.
Agreed.
I'm so tempted to do the rest
Please
of
do
this
the
interview
entire
as
interview.
Jiminy
Yes.
Glick.
I have to say, Nava told me right before you guys arrived. She said, "You'll see Anna and Penn when they get together. It's just like a different
It's
thing."
chaos.
Yeah.
It is.
It's
It's fun.
chaos.
No,
She
it's
used
fun.
like a
Not gonna
voice,
lie.
I think.
Yeah.
I was like,
Was
oh
it
yeah,
that voice?
something like that.
Tell me when your parents' marriage fell apart to pieces and left you. Okay.
Oh my God, he's in a whole suit. It's a whole thing.
so
It's
good.
beautiful.
It's so good.
Truly.
Okay. Seriously though, can you start
let's
at
get
12?
serious finally. What?
Start. Do you know? Are you familiar with the premise of this show?
Wait, we're on a show right now?
I said
this
that
is
all
a
over now.
show.
Okay.
That one was for me.
I am familiar. I have seen and watched and heard of Podcrushed. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm
yes.
kidding. I know
Okay.
you're a fan of the
Great
show. I
joke.
know you are. So please, Anna Camp. Anna
Yes.
Rigsdale Camp. Is that right?
Oh my
Ragsdale?
God, I cannot believe you just said my
Ragsdale.
middle name.
Is it Ragsdale or
It's
Rigsdale?
Ragsdale.
That's your middle name.
Why are you saying that?
I'm sorry.
Where's that
No,
now?
should I not say it?
No, too late. It's out there. Hi, yes, I am Anna Ragsdale.
Is that someone
Camp.
else's last name? Like
That
another
would be
maiden
my
name?
grandmother, Sweet Shirley Ragsdale Camp. It's her maiden name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Because I'm from the South and we don't get like middle names that are like Sally or Sarah. We get Ragsdale.
Right.
Lucky me, right? Love it. Okay. That's me.
yeah.
So tell me, please,
Don't
please,
stop.
can we please start at 12? Just paint us a picture of daily life, the way school was going for you, the way life was at home. Just how was 12-year-old Anna seeing the world, experiencing it?
So remind me of what grade 12 would be. Like what
Seventh.
grade? Seventh grade was
Yeah.
horrific. Okay, great. I think I
Great.
blocked it
Awesome.
out.
All right,
Awesome. Good
let's-
content. Let's get into it.
Absolutely horrible. So I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina. I had an older sister who was 7 years older than me, and she was like valedictorian of our high school.
Wow.
I was not. I was like the opposite of that. I felt very, I guess, I wanted to be an actor. I knew I wanted to be an actor at like second grade. I was
You did a Dare commercial, right?
That was my very first job. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Which is incredible, where I got cast as the drug dealer.
Oh, wait. You're kidding.
Yeah. I came home and I told my parents, I was like so proud I'd like gotten in this Dare play. And I was like, guess what role I'm playing? And she was like, I don't know what. And they talk just like this, my mom does. And I said, I'm the drug dealer. And she goes, wow, that's so great.
Anna, no.
Yeah, Anna, no. Oh my God, yes, that's exactly my mother to a T is Piper, no. But then she goes, well, what are you going to wear as your drug dealer? That was her main concern. And I said, well, I don't know, I'm a kid. And she was like, I think we should do some cut off denim shorts because that's so hardcore.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah. So that was my first job. But yeah, so I was always I knew I wanted to be an actor. I felt probably pretty isolated. I had like one friend Back in middle school and high school, she's still my best friend to this day.
Aw.
She moved to LA before me. Now she's a director. And
Wow.
we've like worked together since then. And she used to direct me in these plays because I was so cool. I would eat lunch in the drama room.
Aw,
How cool was I? Yeah.
Well, did you eat lunch in the drama room because like you didn't have anyone to sit with in the cafeteria, or was it you had a group of friends in the drama room?
I think definitely a little bit of both. I mean, I had like my core group of friends that were actors, and we would all hang out and be like total dorks at lunch. And then also I was just terrified of being around the popular kids.
Yeah.
It just wasn't something, I didn't know how to talk to them. I was terrified of boys. I didn't know what to say. I would avert my eyes from everyone. I would just like have my face in my locker, you know, so the drama room was where I got to like breathe, you know, and just be around people that I felt like weren't judging me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you have like an experience in elementary school that you think contributed to being shy, or were you just like a very naturally shy person?
Oh my gosh. I think I was just shy around people my age. I like to be around my parents or my parents' friends. But I didn't really want to be around people my age because I just felt like I didn't know what to say to any of them. Like I wasn't into like football games. I wasn't into cheerleading. That wasn't my thing. I wasn't like drinking at a young age. I wasn't partying.
It's crazy that you weren't drinking at 12 and that was like an isolating.
In South Carolina, we start very, very, very young. But I guess I was like probably staring out my window, like writing poetry by myself at 12.
You guess?
I'm pretty sure.
Were you ever writing poetry?
Yes, of course. Yeah. I have
That's
like a
amazing.
book of poetry that I still have like from my middle school
that's
days.
sweet.
Yeah.
And you didn't bring it?
I'm sorry. Oh God, I
Anna.
should have.
We'll have to
have.
send
It's
us
all right.
pictures.
I mean, I have and I would like cut out like magazines and like glue glitter things like all
Wow.
over them. And
Mixed
I still have it.
media.
I have it in my bedside table next to my bed because that's where
still-
bedside
wait,
tables go.
whoa. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Thank you for
Yeah,
clarifying.
anytime.
Wait, you still have it next
have
to
it.
your bed?
I have it in the drawer.
Well,
So I
Not your
have it
bed
in the
at
drawer.
home where your
That's-
parents live.
In
Oh,
my
where your mom
actual
lives.
bed, no, I carry it with me. I've moved many times throughout my life since I've been 12.
Uh-huh.
And I keep this book of my childhood poetry
That's so sweet.
next to my bed because I pull it out and I read it sometimes.
What? That's
Yeah.
amazing. You definitely in a league of your own here at Podcrushed. Like you're
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
keeping
Oh,
it. You're
really?
really like. You're
Oh,
really.
yeah.
Some would call it holding on.
Holding on a little bit, just a little tap. Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever consciously think that you would keep it that long? Like when you were decorating it and putting so much into it, what did you? What was that doing for you then? I'm curious.
I think it was like one of the first times I really took a lot of care and thought into this project. It was started out as a project for school. And then I ended up keeping it year after year after year and just doing it on my own. And so it just became my grounding place where I would go. And, you know, I don't journal as much as I should, but it was my form of journaling back then. And then it became so sacred to me and I didn't want anyone to touch it, or I kept it very clean. It has like the gold pages on the sides, you know, and I have like a bookmark in it. And then I started cutting out photos of like my best friends and gluing them, my first boyfriends, and gluing them in the pages and keeping receipts and keeping like
Wow.
first time things. So it's literally, but it stopped. I did stop doing it. So, but I don't think I started out trying to make it like
Sure.
a thing, but it became something really beautiful to me.
Yeah.
So, and do you think you stopped like what, after a year or two? Like, so I'm wondering about the age range. Would it be 12 to?
I stopped after, I know when I stopped. I stopped after I met my first husband.
Oh, okay.
I kept it for that long.
Wow.
Wow.
And then I stopped after I met my first husband, and then like life just kind of took over. And I remember he's the last.
You were like, I
photo.
don't believe in poetry anymore.
Anymore. Exactly. Now that I met this guy.
Yeah.
But he is the last photo, like towards the back of the journal. And he's like, and then it stopped. And I wonder what that says.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
You need to
Well,
start a new
well-
journal.
Yeah, I need a new journal. Exactly. I do.
And can I ask how old that was? It was 20s? Something
I
like that?
met my first husband when I was 21.
So we're talking like
young.
nearly a decade of a project here.
Of little poems and little
And
receipts
Yeah.
and things.
That's amazing, and you
yeah.
keep it. I mean, honestly, I'm just flabbergasted.
Really?
in
Are
the
you
best
that
way.
shocked? Is it something about me that you're shocked about? Like,
Well, no, because what
when
it,
Yeah, I didn't even know you could write, to be honest.
Yeah,
I was trying to spend like
exactly. Wouldn't call you as a writer there. I'm just kidding.
I think what it is that clearly this period of life then, and so this interview better be great, by the way, is important to you.
Very.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's really touching.
Yeah, it really is. It was it was. Let's talk about it.
I'm curious, Anna. You mentioned earlier that you already knew you wanted to be an actor at this age. And I'm curious, I don't know much about Columbia, South Carolina. First of all, tell us a little bit about Columbia. How big is it? What's the vibe? And then did that dream feel big for your town, or did it feel appropriate? What were people's reactions?
So Columbia, South Carolina, it's the capital of South Carolina,
Oh, gosh,
right? Like
I'm
it's the
sorry,
capital.
South
No, I'm not saying that in a way that you should have known that by any means. I was
Yeah.
just trying to describe like, the size of the city or the town. It's not a huge city, but it is the capital. And it's a pretty conservative city. My parents are very liberal. I grew up like obviously in the arts, so I was surrounded by creative people who were very liberal, but that was the minority. So middle school, high school is football. There were sororities and fraternities in my high school
Wow.
that I never got asked to be a part of. I didn't even get asked to be in like the lame sorority. There was like the cool sorority, and then there was the lame sorority that all the other kids that didn't get asked to be in. I didn't get asked for either.
You had to be asked?
You had to
couldn't-
be asked, yes, to be like considered cool enough or whatever. But I'm so glad that I didn't, because it was just like Dazed and Confused. Do you know this movie? Where Parker Posey is like the head, like popular girl, and they're dumping like things all over the girls, and they're making the girls get down on their knees and ask like boys to date them. That's what was happening in my high school.
Wow.
Isn't that the same one with Matthew McConaughey?
Yes,
Right?
it is.
You know what's amazing? After all this time, I've not seen it.
Oh, it's so good. It's really good.
I don't know if this is funny, but I have a note in the research. She posts a lot about Parker Posey.
I love her. She is one of my acting idols. I think she's so authentic
She's
and
amazing.
just herself, and she can take something that you read on the page and then you see her do it and it's nothing like what you thought it was going to be. And I'd like die to try to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love her so much. A dream to like act with her one day.
Yeah, maybe. Were you ever bullied in high school or in middle school?
I was bullied. I have many memories of being bullied, but the one that really stands out the most was I think I was in 6th grade, and this girl, I almost called her a woman. She seemed like really tall, and I was like a little kid. She didn't like me for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what I ever did to not be. I was like a nice kid, I think. And she came over to my desk at like pre-algebra. I'll never forget it. Mr. Leith was the teacher. She proceeded to pull my hair out of my head and then floss her teeth.
No.
Ew. I mean, that's gross for her.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Floss her teeth with
It's
it.
definitely pre-COVID.
That's very,
Definitely
that's very disturbing
pre-COVID. It's
about
really
her.
disturbing, right? And I just remember terrified. I was like, what have I done? And
It's
like
such a
I think you
performance.
should have been terrified.
It was such a, and it was in
It's-
front of the class to
Right.
like, I can like bully you and abuse you and then somehow degrade you even more by
Yeah.
using your hair to floss my teeth.
Yeah,
with it.
like I'm just
that's
trying to think of like what the room did in that time between like finding the end of the hair, maybe dropping it once, and just being like, okay, now which tooth am I gonna? You know, there's like a long,
yeah.
there's a lot of thought, and there's a lot going into that that I think I'm
Like I have questions of like, what could Joe Goldberg do that people would turn on him? I feel like that could be it.
That's a-
Really
like plucked a
creepy.
hair and
That's true.
started flossing his teeth with it.
Yeah.
That might be it.
Very,
you know?
very, very creepy. And I did see her though years later.
You did.
So I graduated high school, went to college, came back for a summer, and I was getting gas at like the gas station, and lo and behold, there she was checking out. Like she worked at the gas station, and I remember I was like, her name was. Should I call out her name?
No, I
don't
don't
know
think
if I
so.
should. I'm not gonna do that. We'll just call her Sally. I was like,
Sorry to every Sally.
sorry to every Sally out there that I ever knew. I just remember saying, Sally, do you remember me? And she was like, And she goes, no. And I said, well, you once pulled my hair out and flossed your teeth with it.
Wow.
And she went, no. She was so shocked.
Oh my gosh.
And mortified, did not believe me. And I said, I swear to God you did that. And then she gave me my gas and my Diet Mountain Dew for free.
Did that feel like a comeuppance a little bit?
I feel great about it.
Yeah.
It was definitely
Closure.
an admission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have closure now.
I feel like people have dreams of that happening, or like maybe they'll come across like a middle school bully and imagine what they would say, but not have the confidence to, or the presence of mind to actually just say
to
it.
just
Good for
say
you.
it. Yeah, I had to say it. I just couldn't believe that she was there working at the gas station. I was like, when am I going to ever see her again?
I forget when you said this was it possibly like post Pitch Perfect and stuff like that? Were you already having, the sort of ascendancy where that was just part of what you were, I don't know, you feeling like you could rub in, so to speak, or I'm searching for the word here.
I'm picking up where you're putting down. Yeah. Like I had a little more weight to throw around the gas station in
not
South
that
Carolina.
would have been correct to do. Nor would it wouldn't have been morally beneficial for anyone involved. But I'm just wondering, was it before or after Pitch Perfect?
You are correct, sir. It wasn't
after.
Pitch Perfect, but it was after True Blood.
Okay.
So I definitely felt like I had a little bit of pep in my step to go in and like get my comeuppance, I guess.
Yeah. Anna, is it true that since he mentioned Pitch Perfect, Aubrey is obviously one of your most iconic characters? Is it true that some of the lines that Aubrey is famous for saying are related to her dad? Is it true that your real dad inspired some of those lines?
Yes, it is.
Tell us about your dad. Tell us about one of those lines.
So my dad went to the Citadel. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It is a very intense military college in the South. And it actually recently, maybe just 10 years, it's become co-ed. So it was mainly it was just all men. And so my father in Pitch Perfect is like a military guy, like a general. And so I say all of these funny things like, my dad always says, if you can't do it, pack your bags or something like that. Yeah. I also had to memorize. Oh, this is a great thing. I don't know why I didn't just say this. I had to memorize something that my dad had to say when he was a freshman in college. I had to memorize it when I was a little kid.
Wow. He passed that
After
on
we
to you.
finished eating at the dinner table, they would go, Anna, say it. And I go, okay. Oh, God, if I can do it. My sufficiency has been quite falsified, such that any more would prove to be super sanctimonious, such that I, Private Cadet Camp, request to remove my gross mass of protoplasm from your highly exalted presence, sir.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I mean, that deserves an applause.
Thank you.
Wait, there was a second word in there that I'd never heard before. So,
What is
can you
it?
say just the first few words?
My sufficiency
My sufficiency. I
has
heard
been
that.
quite falsified.
Falsified. That's
Not a
the
word.
word.
Yeah,
Not a
that's
word.
not a word,
I
is
was
it?
like, no.
Yeah, but
I was like, I don't know it. It's not a word.
But I had to say that for like when my parents' friends came over, they'd be like, Anna, go do the thing.
It was like a party trick.
So you were performing
Yes.
right from the get-go.
Yes, not knowing that that's what, yes. I was
Don't talk
definitely- I was like,
pre-form.
making these people happy. Yeah, totally. Don't
I
talk,
love
just
it.
dance for us.
And you say it was a liberal household. You say it was a liberal household. Yes, okay.
Jiminy Glick, my favorite.
And you said your sister's 7 years older than you.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your guys' relationship like growing up? Did you have much time together in your childhood, or did it feel kind of like two only children? Because that's quite a large age gap.
We were not close. We were definitely not close, but she was the person to inspire me to become an actor.
Oh, wow.
So she was an actor, still is. She teaches drama now in South Carolina. She's like directs all the school plays and everything. It's like very sweet. But we would watch old movies together. So she would call me in. We'd watch all the Vivian Leigh, Clark Gable, Jimmy Stewart, and we would just sit there, and I was just like entranced by these beautiful films. So I owe a lot to her for that. But unfortunately, we never really were that close. We're getting closer now, I think, as our parents get older. We're finding comfort in each other in a way that we haven't before. But yeah, growing up, we weren't really that close.
So we do some classic questions here. And
Okay.
again, our viewers and listeners know Nava and Sophie they want to move on. They just
The pen is
they
Nava and Sophie.
They just feel
Hey, it was Nava.
they just feel boxed in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
We have to go back. We want to hear about your first crush or first love? You know, because sometimes first crushes are like 4 or 5 years old, and they don't make for great stories, frankly. That one, you know, just something that feels formative, because it could be very young. It's like, you know, first crush, first love, something like that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can see his face right now. His name was Adam. Very cute skater boy. Had long kind of hair. Had some glasses. He was also an actor, but he had this skateboard, you know, and he was wearing his pants super low. It was like super cool. And I was just like in love with him, just obsessed with him. And he was my first kiss. He was my first kiss, and the first kiss was to Offspring's. Oh yeah, God, that song.
Yeah, what is it?
No, self-esteem. Self-esteem. Yes. So it was not a romantic kiss by any means. We were at this girl's.
Wait, is it the one that goes?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not romantic
at all. But every time that song comes on now, I feel it.
That's sweet.
But the anxiety from it, because we were in the middle of like a birthday party. We were hanging out. Everybody's like dancing. He's like dancing it at me. Do you know what I mean? When they're like dancing at you and you're like, whoa, like relax, bro. Like even at that age, I was like easy, you know? But he just grabbed me and he like smashed his face into my face to that song.
Wow.
And I think at that point I kind of lost my crush a little bit. Like
Really?
it was too much.
Yeah.
It was like too aggressive. I didn't find it, like I wasn't like excited to do that again. You know? So I think we kind of broke up probably like literally 30 minutes later or something like that.
I think you're the first person to pierce the skater boy mystique on Podcrushed, because we've heard a couple of skater boy stories, but they always remain very cool. I might say they always leave. I feel like they always leave the story still being like.
No.
As soon as you said skater boy pen, I was like, okay.
Oh, I know. I felt that eye roll. He's now a gynecologist.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he's now a gynecologist.
Wow.
And we did see each other later in life, so we did see
For an
each
appointment,
other.
or
I mean, you could say that. It wasn't like I didn't make a call, but we had an appointment. Yeah, no, it's good. I'm glad I went.
You went.
I
Okay.
feel like
Anyway.
there's a joke about a skate deck in here or something. I don't know.
Find it.
I don't know.
Jiminy,
We'll do that in
Jiminy
post.
would have found
What
it.
about your first heartbreak?
I don't remember one. I don't remember an actual heartbreak at that age. I don't. And I don't mind talking about anything, really. I'll talk about like an adult thing, but I don't recall feeling heartbroken at a young age. I really recall it at an older age.
You're like, I should falsify.
Exactly.
If you don't mind, you can share a little bit about your adult one. You don't have to get into specifics,
Just
but
name
just
names,
any
please.
like highlight of it.
Yeah. I think it was like my first, I mean, I met my first husband, as I was saying, and then when the journal entry stopped, right? At 21. And it was like out on the town in Union Square with a couple of friends. I was not planning. I'd just been dumped by a guy over the phone. And I was like,
and that didn't break your heart.
It didn't. There was something about him. I was like, good, get out of here.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Just that tidbit about you, that because when you first said I don't remember heartbreak, I'm like, does that mean there were no relationships? There were no feelings there? No, but
So
there
if he was
were.
like, what is wrong with her?
No, I mean, it's
have no
amazing
soul.
that you can like that shows me that you could just like kind of move on quickly. You can see the truth in it. Like, oh yeah, this wasn't supposed to work anyway.
I
You're not
think
hung
that
up.
I always sensed that there were many chapters in a person's life. I think because, and then seeing my parents' relationship and seeing other people's relationships, I always felt like, I don't know if there is an end person. I don't know, but I know that I want like experiences. And so when the guy dumped me over the phone, I remember I had edamame boiling. I was living in Queens. I was on 39th Street or something. And I remember like he was talking to me and I put edamame on the stove and I forgot about it. And after the phone call, he broke up with me and it was just like boiling over.
Wow.
Like boiling over now. Like
Like
never,
your rage.
like my excitement for him to get out of my life.
Sure, that's the way you're cutting
that's
it
what
now.
I'm saying now, exactly. Looking back, but then I went out and I was like, I'm gonna go out for the first time. I took like a week to whatever, and then I went out, and that's when I met my first husband.
Wow.
Wow.
And so we met very young. It was like a one-night stand that lasted 7 years.
Wow.
And we grew a lot from 21 to, he was a little older, but I changed so much. We both moved from New York to LA together. He's an actor, wonderful actor. We're still pretty close. But it was really difficult to not be working anymore. It was really, really, really hard to see someone who met me at such a young age. I'd just moved to New York. We were like doing our laundry, walking down the street, getting drunk, like hanging out, partying. And I wanted to keep that for the rest of my life because that's what I had imagined. And then to have it just not be working at all and having us be totally different people, that was really, really, really hard. And that was definitely a heartbreak of mine. But he's great and we still talk. So it's not like I'm like, don't ever see him. It was hard.
Yeah, that is hard at 21. So I'm just thinking about myself at 21 versus myself at 25 versus myself at 31 now. It's like
so different,
a million
right?
different people.
Yeah.
She's really grown up quick, isn't she?
You look great. No, you look great.
Yeah.
How about an embarrassing story, Cringy.
Oh God, had to do another boy. So my other crush, Brian Harmon. Love him.
Naming names.
Yeah, really was obsessed with this guy. Wouldn't talk to me, wouldn't date me because he said he didn't like the way I walked.
Oh my gosh, did that affect you? Or you were like,
I think about it to this day.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
I
about
think
the way
about
you
it.
walk.
The way I walk, I think about it sometimes. Like if people are behind me, I get like
you're like, don't look at me.
and they're following me.
Right.
Like sometimes when we would be going from the dressing room, like from set, I'd be like, I don't want him to be behind me. And I don't think it's exactly because of Brian Harmon, but I don't think it helps.
Yeah.
I don't like
Yeah.
being
You know, some
followed.
actresses will only be like photographed from one side.
Yeah,
and
that's like me. I'm like, don't show. I have a walking double. It's in my contract because I really can't walk. Anyway, he wouldn't. I do think about it sometimes. And I was so in love with him though. I had this photo. My friend took a photo of him for me, and he's like sitting on the school steps. He's got like blonde spiky hair, and he's sitting all cool. And I remember being like, oh my God, like I would have a poster of that. And her dad worked at a photography studio, and she was like, I'm going to blow it up for you. I'm going to blow up the poster and I'm going to bring it to school. And I was like, that's so cool. Oh my God, that's so great. Cut to next day. My mom is driving me in her Volvo, and she's pulling up to the school, and I see a crowd of
No,
people. Proud of my friends, some not my friends. And I see Mackenzie Bubb, the one that blew up the poster. Oh, she's holding the poster. She's holding the poster, and Brian Harmon is on the poster, and he's looking at the poster with all of his friends. And I go, my heart drops out of my soul. I turn white. My mom is like, have a good day. And I go and I walk, and they all turn around and they all start laughing at me.
Oh, no.
It was so awful. And I was like, you are not my friend, Mackenzie Bubb.
Yeah.
That was a secret
Mackenzie
girl
Bubb.
code. Like slide it to me at the end of the day
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Slide it to me. It seems
Don't
like
even
it
bring it to
wasn't going to be
school. Just come
possible.
Bring it
over
to
with
school.
it.
Come over with it. My
Yeah.
God, mortified. Literally the most mortified I've
That's
ever
very
been.
embarrassing.
I feel like
Very.
that's also a one-of-one experience. Like sometimes people tell us embarrassing stories and it's like, okay, yeah, like that could have happened in 10 different episodes. But this one
This one is like
a friend of yours blowing up your crush.
blowing up my
And then
crush.
showing him.
Yeah.
and then
That's
showing
crazy.
him and all of his cool friends laughing.
Yeah.
And pointing. And I had to like go to school that day, and like
Did
I
you
was
keep
the girl.
poster though?
Of course I kept the
You're
poster.
like, give it to me.
I have it next to my bed.
Fold it up
Fold it
inside.
up
of
in
you.
my little journal and look at it sometimes.
That is
You laugh,
amazing.
but it's true.
Great.
Anyway, what's the next question?
Anyway.
Anna, you brought us into adulthood a little bit, and we wanted to talk to you a little bit about Equus. You were in this show on Broadway, and I mean, there's many notable things about the show. One of the things that you've talked about publicly is dealing with the nerves of having to be nude in front of a live audience, and But then you talked about how eventually it actually felt liberating. And I was really interested in that. Like I was telling Nava that, because I have a daughter, I've given birth, and I was telling her that there's a point in birth where you totally just like, you're like, I do not care. I don't care who's in here, who's seeing what.
Sure.
And I never.
And I mean, they're seeing it. You know,
Yeah. And they're seeing it all.
all the.
And I was wondering, did you get to a point like that where it just kind of felt like everyone has a body? These are just,
These are
bodies.
just horse bodies.
Yeah, they're just horse bodies, and that's just Harry Potter's body. That's my body. I did, finally. It was not a quick thing, though, because I wasn't somebody who, went to the gym and walked around naked and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't like get on the elliptical. Be naked, like some people do at my gym. And I'm
What
not
gym
mad.
is that?
No, I you know what I mean. I was a shy kid growing up. So I auditioned for it, and I had to be British, and then I had to be nude. They did not make me take my clothes off, I was obviously, for the audition. But I remember going, I don't want this job. I don't want to get this job. I don't want this job. And I was on the train coming back from the audition, actually, the callback, and I was going above ground back to Queens, and my phone rings, and it's my agent. And I was like, oh God. And so I pick it up, and they're like, so excited. Anna, you just booked Equus.
And it was big too, because it was Daniel Radcliffe in one of his first plays after. I mean, he had been doing, the work that he's now been engaged in for so long, which is like very successfully. He's both so known as Harry Potter and also so not known as Harry Potter. He's really done, I think, a graceful job transitioning, deconstructing that idea. You know what I mean?
so
And
too,
Equus was a part of that. It was definitely a big moment. I mean, I remember I lived in the city, and what we remembered when we were on set. Do you remember this?
That you came and you saw it.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that again, but you saw it. So I remember everyone was all the buzz that the people from Gossip Girl were coming. Yeah.
Oh.
So I remember that, and we were in the middle of the run by that time. So I was like, whatever. Because I do this thing like twice a day, and by that time, there would be cameras in the audience. They tell you to like put your phone away or not have your phone, but there would be people with binoculars in the third row.
Yeah, you were telling me that. And that's just
It's
to me just
so
stone
really,
cold.
Wild, but
The ball's on both of you, The ball's on both of you.
The ball's on both of us, thank you.
I think that takes... it is, I'm sure at first it was a bit terrifying, because you have to, theoretically, it could be all about the performance. Theoretically. I'm an actor. But come on. You also know what people, you also know what people in the audience
are also going to go see. Yeah. And a lot of them didn't know that the female character was also new. They were going to go see Harry Potter. Yeah. And we had seats on stage also. So it was in the round. And I had to, we stand at the back of the stage.
You both get real naked.
We take off our clothes one piece by one piece. We come all the way to the front of the stage, totally, totally nude, where we share a kiss. And then we slowly walk all the way back. And then I have to lay down on this thing that's similar to this table.
A dais, you could call it.
Exactly.
Dais?
That's a dais.
Dais, Amadeus.
I don't know, but it's a great word. And spread my legs.
Oh, that's right.
And then he got on top of me, and there were audience. Get out of my way! There were audience members up there, and I remember I'd have to freeze while he delivered a monologue, and they would be talking about our bodies.
No, you could hear
during
that.
the middle.
Hear?
I could hear every word they were saying.
Wow.
Yes.
That is like some kind of torture.
It was it was wild to have to do that. And then we'd have to get up and we scream at each other, and we're standing there screaming on stage to one another, and then I run off. But it was a real test to my fear. Yeah. Like what can I actually do when I'm afraid? And how can I say none of these people's opinions matter to me? And there was a really odd grounding thing that I found backstage, before I had to go out, we'd be backstage.
Was the mirror?
It was just looking at my face. No, it was the weirdest thing. There would be shelves of all the stuff that's backstage when you're getting ready to go out. And there was this one particular thing that I kept looking at that made me feel like everything was going to be okay.
I want to know what it is.
It's I was gonna make a joke, but I'm not. It was actually a Tide box.
Huh.
Interesting.
A box of Tide. It was the old school blue with the words and the rainbow.
Was it a prop or was it?
It was for doing laundry. It was real.
Huh.
And I just remember going, somebody sat in a room, like a group of people sat in a room and they named that thing Tide. And then they drew that weird box of Tide. And I kind of was looking at it and I went, nothing freaking matters. And I just like would go out and I would look at it every time. I'd be like,
Wow.
You know what that's called?
what?
Dissociation.
Thank you.
Wait, Anna,
Wait, what?
I want to circle back to that moment on the train. Your agents call you. They're really excited. You didn't want the part. What happens? Like what makes you flip or decide to take it?
Well, whenever anything scares me, I say, okay, go do it. You have to do it. There's a reason why I got the part. There's a reason. There's something that I needed to grow from. There was a challenge that needed to be accepted. I took it as a sign of this is from the universe in some way. So you're okay. You're okay. Don't worry about your body. Don't worry about, being perfect. This is for you. This is a chapter in your life that you would really regret walking away from if you didn't do it. So
Did it change your relationship with your body in any way?
it did. It did. Definitely. I became a bit more free, a bit more like, oh, whatever, here I am. I mean, some people were like, oh, are you getting a personal trainer or are you going to like not eat? And at first I was very concerned, but then I started like going to have sushi on my break. You know what I mean? And intermission.
Yeah, a real high calorie splurge.
Yeah.
I used to go eat
having
slabs of raw
seaweed
fish is what I used to do.
I would go at so much sashimi.
I had 3 carbohydrates post noon.
Yeah.
I was losing
I would
it.
have 3 almonds and I was like, whatever. It's totally fine. Let's go. Let's take it off.
Okay, wait. I have one more Equus question. What was the funniest thing you remember someone saying? If you,
Oh, nice.
Oh
That
my
was digging
God.
deep.
I mean, I don't know if I want to say that out loud.
We can cut it if you want. Just try. Just try it. If it scares
was something
you.
about like it was something about my boobs. It was something about like she must be cold. You know what I mean? And me being there listening to this lady tell her date that and me being like, I am. Okay.
It's
am
a
cold.
fucking theater, man.
That's freezing
And I
cold
love
out here.
it.
And you know what? He must be too. We're all cold. You know what I mean? Just leave us alone. We're naked for you right now. Go home. My God. It was just awful. My college roommate during curtain call, I remember like bowing, obviously fully clothed at that point, but then turning around to like bow for the onstage audience. And I bow and I'm like, Evan. Oh no. Front row, buddy. Great. Awesome. Yep.
wow. You were Mindy Kaling's best friend on the Mindy Project, and I'm just wondering how that came about.
That came about because I auditioned and tested multiple times to play that part.
So like it did for any role.
Just like I did for
I didn't know
anyone.
if you guys knew each other.
Unfortunately, we
or-
did not. We did not know each other.
Okay.
But yeah, she like called me up, and it was like the test day, and I remember her being like, "I really want you to get this, Anna. Like, I really want it to be you." And I just felt like it was so nice of her to do because she didn't have to do that, and it was her show, and she was creating it. And yeah. And then I ended up doing the first season.
Anything memorable from sort of that experience?
I told a director that I did not. This director told me not to check my watch during a scene. And I didn't know why he was so caught up with this watch checking because I had nothing to do in the scene. Like, I think I had like no lines. I was having a scene with like my 7-year-old daughter. And I remember just checking my watch because I gave me something to do. And he was like, so can you just like not check your watch? And I remember looking at him and going, you can point the camera wherever you want. I'm going to check my watch.
Wow.
And
How old were you at the time?
I was 27. I was 27 or something.
I feel like there's so much confidence there. I'm like, wow, I wish I could.
I literally was so upset that he was the only note I got was like, can you just not check your watch? And I was like, if you're thinking about the watch checking, like you're not thinking about what's actually going on in the scene. And I want to check my watch.
Yeah.
And So, honey, I'm gonna check it, and you can edit it out. You can do a lot in post, but I'm checking the watch.
Anna, where do you think that confidence went when you came to the fifth season of You? Because there was no confidence to be seen.
I was, oh God, yeah, heart
You were like
pitter-patter.
a wet lamb on a dais.
Jiminy thing to say.
Yeah, it was kind of. I'm kind of. It's
You're
sort
in the
of
pocket
okay.
right
It's sort of
Getting
okay.
better
No,
as
you're in the
this goes.
pocket.
In Pitch Perfect, you played Aubrey, iconic character, and you had to throw up so many times. What was that like? What was in your mouth? Do you remember?
Yeah. Okay. So we had a actual fire hose that they rigged behind me, like a small, like a fire hose pressure type thing with like a little tube that they wired through my skirt, up my back, and under my neck. And then the other one for the side shots was here beside my mouth. And there was tomato juice, rice, pineapple chunks in this thing connected through. And they tested it on like a stunt double, obviously. But by the time they got there with me, like I didn't know what the pressure was going to be like. And they were like, okay, and action, 3, 2, 1. Boom, the thing knocked me back.
Whoa.
Like knocked me off. And it was out of control.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. I'm literally just vomiting everywhere. Like I can't control it. And I'm like, can somebody call cut? And I remember standing there straight at that point. The thing's not stopping and I'm just vomiting. While I'm talking to people, being like, can we turn the thing off? Can we get the thing off? Oh my God. It was really wild.
I can't believe that's not out there as a blooper. That's just sort of a. That's just sort of like
they have
gold.
have
It
some, but
is?
I don't know
Yeah.
if they've got that specific one.
It's a DVD extra.
Yeah, there you go. You have to pay for it these days. But yeah, and then they also asked the audience in front, like the first few rows, if they were okay being thrown up on. And they were like, yeah, they were all game for it. You know what I mean? But I think they thought I was going to be like normal human going like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know, as you
You're
do,
right,
and
yeah.
like
Not a fire
a
hose.
little. And so once I did the shot, and I'm like vomiting everywhere, and they're like, and again, and then Scoccimarro would be like, little one, and I'd be like, but, you know what I mean? And then he'd be like, big one. So I finished vomiting. I'm on the ground. I'm like sweating. I have vomit everywhere all over me. I look up at the audience that they asked if they would be comfortable being puked on. They look like they're going to kill me. They are so upset. They did not bring they were wearing their own clothes.
Yeah.
They were just completely puke everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, sorry, just like running off the stage.
That's
oh my
not on
God.
you though. That's more like
It's
like
not my fault.
that's a
Wow.
that's a producer thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You've obviously that cast is really iconic. Like so many comedic talents in that movie. So many singing talents. But Rebel Wilson kind of stands out, and you've talked about her as like a scene stealer.
Yes.
And I'm just curious if there are any BTS stories about Rebel or anyone.
That's behind the scenes.
Oh, what? BTS. Oh, that's what that spells.
Yeah.
There's a video that I actually have of us in Pitch Perfect 2 where we're like FaceTiming and we're all singing as a group to this one Barden Bella who's not there because I guess she's pregnant, so she doesn't come on like the journey with us in Pitch Perfect 2, which is so sad that she wasn't there. And we're singing, and for some reason Rebel and I just decided to like stop singing to the camera but just like sing to each other. So we're just like caressing each other's hair, and we're just like, you know, hanging out all over each other, and none of the other girls knew that that's what we were doing. And then I guess somebody like played it for everyone, and I remember Kendra being like, what? That was happening behind me the whole time. But yeah, so Rebel and I would always like play and improv and have fun and just do what you can until they tell you to hold back. That's what I always try to do, because you don't know what could end up in the final version, and it's like they can always tell you to stop.
Yeah.
You know, and then you just keep checking your watch.
Was it fun to be kind of the straight character in that movie, or was it a little bit of a bummer?
I didn't feel like I was the straight character, I guess. I felt like there was so much comedy to be mined within this person who is so concerned with everything being right. I mean, isn't that where the comedy is? Is that like when she's so uptight when things inevitably go wrong, right? Like that's the comedy, is the like frustration of trying to keep everything, on the table or whatever. So I loved Aubrey. I loved playing her. I think that she has so much heart.
Yeah.
She's definitely stuck up and can be a little bit of a biatch, but yeah, I love her.
Yeah. There's no Pitch Perfect without Aubrey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You said in an interview once that after Pitch Perfect, you wanted to go to Montana and raise puppies and just like be done with it.
And why puppies?
No, I was going to
Jiminy,
ask. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Jiminy.
Jiminy and Sophie.
That's all I've got.
Okay.
No, well, I was curious what kept you going.
To Montana?
No. What took you away from Montana? What stopped you going to
Oh,
Montana?
I see. I got another job.
Okay.
I think as an actor,
Just that quick, right?
You're like, never mind. Forget the
that quick.
puppies.
I don't know if maybe. Oh, they want me? Okay.
They want me. Okay, fine. Yeah, exactly. But I have all these puppies. No, I always want to. That is a goal of mine in my life. Yes, I want to be in Montana
A puppy mill?
a puppy mill. Yes, I put that out. Oh God, yeah. I want to own a puppy mill in Montana.
Company.
Yeah, above board puppy mill. No, I'd love to be in Montana at some point, like on a ranch somewhere with lots of animals. That is a dream of mine. And I always say that because I don't know. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to work, but I don't know, like right now, I don't know what the next job is. So, it's just nice to have that because I'm not just an actor. I don't want to be reliant on just that for my soul or my happiness. I can't because it's so fleeting anyway that I would feel very satisfied living in Montana and not having a puppy mill, but taking in shelter dogs.
Ethically raising
dogs and breeding them for money. That's what I want to do.
No, that sounds lovely.
Yes.
Okay, just a couple questions about Hysteria, and then we
Okay.
will go to you.
Okay.
So your character in Hysteria is really tightly wound, perhaps the most of all.
Definitely the most.
of all the ones. And I'm just curious, where do you draw? You talked about this a little bit, but where do you draw inspiration for the Aubreys, Tracys, and Reagans that you play so masterfully?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. That's very nice. I definitely draw them from the women that I grew up in the South. There's a type of like presenting a perfect kind of unflawed exterior, but there's this like brewing passion or desire to break free from all of that. I feel like especially, my mother was very proper. She still doesn't own a pair of blue jeans. She wears pantyhose and sometimes she wears rubber gloves to pick up our cats because she doesn't want to wash her hands too much. There's like a certain thing, but inside I know she's just like this passionate.
Get me
smart.
those jeans.
Give me those jeans now.
Cutoffs.
We know she loves jeans from the denim cutoffs, right? So I think that I just grew up around a lot of women like that, and I just love playing somebody who is struggling not just with the other characters or with the world that they are in, but with themselves. So to have that, I think is something that I'm really drawn to. And I also like I don't try to make these women likable, but I don't find them unlikable. And I'm also not afraid of being unlikable too. So I find them fascinating to play and to like kind of get down through the puzzle of like what makes them tick.
You,
yes. Okay, we're here to talk about you. The two of you were in You. I want to know, what were your first impressions of each other? Do you remember the first time you met?
Yeah, because this episode
mine.
is about you. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember No. Okay.
That's always Penn's
don't
answer.
remember a
Just by the
single
way,
thing.
whenever we ask him that question, he's
no,
like,
I mean, I remember so much, but
time.
first impressions, I think it's like, so if I'm just going back chronologically speaking, the first two episodes, which is what you do when you're trying to think of a first impression.
That's
correct?
really smart.
Yeah.
Good work.
Thanks. Like I don't remember the first Zoom that we were, you know what I mean? Like I don't remember meeting, but I very much remember seeing you play these two characters on the same day, as we're shooting the same scene, this dinner table scene, which was like, you had more lines in that scene than I probably have in the entirety of the series.
Actually, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
And it was just really impressive and a joy to just finally take this thing off my shoulders and give it to somebody else.
Just relax. Just relax, Joe Goldberg.
And it was a beautiful thing to see, and I do particularly like your Reagan that. Well, I'm also now remembering Maddie later in the season.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're gonna come with spoilers, right? We're talking about it
this
like
is the
post.
season's fully out.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers
So-
galore.
So, but I think it's like you playing Reagan really is the first, just Reagan just demolishing, attempting to demolish the family in this one scene where all day it's just all about you. And I was just really impressed,
Thanks.
you know?
Thank you.
You're just like, honestly, I do think if I recall, like, I don't think you
Messed
flubbed
up
a
ever?
line. Yeah, no, I think you were that, upholding that repressed Southern flawless. You really were like, it was remarkable.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, I wanted to come in prepared because I don't want to be I want to be the last of everybody's worries on a set. And I also know that it's like not about the lines for me. It's
Right.
like never about. I don't want it to ever be
It's
about.
about
the
checking
lines.
your watch.
Yeah,
It's about checking my watch. Yes. No. It's about like doing what I want, getting what I want from the other person. So I don't want to ever be like in any way not off book, like completely solid. That way I can mess it up and make it different each take and whatever. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
What was your first impression of Penn?
Oh, right. We're doing that.
I remember meeting you on the Zoom, but then I remember meeting you like in the hair and makeup room, and I remember you were just very bearded. You were so bearded and your
Probably,
hair
yeah.
was so long, and you asked me what my name was twice. You said, wait, what was your name? and then we were still there, and then you did it again, and
I'm trying to make sure I get it on that first day.
But I wasn't holding back. I was like, Anna.
I'm remembering that a bit now. Yeah.
And then you shaved your face and your hair, and I was like, new man. Then I was like,
You should have said, what's your name again?
yeah. I was like, wait, what's your name? No, but you did ask me twice, and I was like, Anna.
Well, there's a lot of people on a first day. It's an entirely new casting crew.
I'm giving you shit.
I know.
But yeah, that was my first impression, that he just can't remember what anybody's.
Not a single thing.
No, but it was really fun. I'm really happy that we got so many fun scenes together because it was so great and so lovely, like working with you. And so, like, I never felt pressure. I never felt pressure, though. I always felt like it was light and fun. And,
That's good.
That's really
great.
nice.
So,
The two of you were always on the verge of making each other break. And I'm curious if anything stands out to you as like a notable time that maybe we as viewers, if we go back, we could like maybe spy it a little bit.
It's interesting. So, I don't remember if you're, well, it'd be interesting to hear from you, Nava, because you were on set, whether you're saying that more from your own experience or maybe some of what I was recollecting. But my experience of it is, I don't know that we were close to breaking because you and I are kind of similar in the sense that we could be like hysterically laughing, but then it's like you have to get down to it. And for the most part, it's just like zip it up.
yeah.
But I can't remember what it was, but I do know there was a time that I couldn't hold it together. I don't know. I can't remember what it was, but I know there was. Do you remember it?
100%.
What was it?
There's a couple times, but one of them in the cage, the camera wasn't even like on you. It wasn't on one of us, but one of us kept laughing, and I didn't even say anything yet.
Oh,
I remember, and you kept trying to say your
Were you
line.
meant was one of you dead?
I think maybe one of us
weren't you
was
laying
dead.
supposed to be dead?
Maybe. No, it was before that. We were just standing up as one of the beginning scenes, and you just kept laughing. And I didn't know you that well yet, and I remember just being like, "What am I doing, man? Like, what am I doing? This is so funny."
Yeah.
And you just go, "You're funny. You're funny. Okay, you're funny." And I was like, "Okay, I guess as long as like it's gonna work eventually."
Yeah.
I do remember when we were doing the scene where Harrison was like tied up.
Oh yeah.
And I was behind you, like mouthing every word.
Oh,
and
yes.
you were like, I was really in the shot. I saw the scene. I saw the scene though, and in the shot, I can see your eyes do a little. Like, when I'm back there going. Like I can see you going like.
It's
in your-
so good.
It was really, 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 really fun. Yeah. But anyway.
I'm not sure if people remember what we're talking about, but basically, Harrison, played by Pete. I'm trying
Pete
to Plosnick, right?
yeah.
Plosnick?
You say the end.
Stopping right at the hard part. Like,
Yeah, go like this. Come on. Pete
Pete knows that we love him, so he'll laugh at this. But we praying, hoping.
It's okay. It's Jiminy. He wouldn't know.
He's tied up, and he's expressing his. No, I'm trying to express his love, right?
Yes, you're helping him express his love.
Right, because I'm basically trying to save both of your lives right now, right?
You're going
he's
to
a good
kill
man.
us. You're going to kill us if we don't. If he's going to tell on you about murdering Reagan, then you're going to kill him, and then you might kill me. So we're trying to convince him.
I'm like, I want to save both of you.
Just deal with murder.
live
Just
happily
like
ever after.
murder's murder.
And so I'm telling him basically what to say, and you're mouthing it behind me, right?
Yes.
And that wasn't scripted. And when you did it in the rehearsal, I was like,
you were like,
I was like, you have to do that, but that's. Don't do it when I have to say it. Like, please. Or no, I think what I realized is we had to do it at the same time. Otherwise, it's not funny.
Yes.
But I was like, but that's going to be very hard for me.
It was hard.
To keep a straight face because there was just something about it. Like,
yeah.
oh, Maddie's so dumb, but so sweet.
So sweet. And I remember the director of that episode kind of cut them back. She was like, okay, like you can get like two of them.
Love that.
You can't do everyone.
That.
But it was really fun.
So good.
I liked trying to crack you up.
Yeah,
I liked trying to make you laugh.
Well, apparently it wasn't hard, I guess.
Final season. It's like
Yeah.
senioritis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what's
What is this thing?
He was so impressed that she was off book because he didn't know any of his lines.
Yeah.
So he's like, what
Nope.
are my lines again?
It is actually true that day
The
I
dinner
only
table
had
scene?
I had like one paragraph in between your 90 paragraphs. And
Anita,
and
We
all
had to
day
break. We
and
had to
all day
break.
I had it. And then
Yeah.
we go to my side and I was like I cannot.
Do it. And
Because we'd done it so many times, and I was just like, I kept on, and I was like, this has never happened to me. We have to go to lunch.
It was amazing. We went to lunch.
Yeah.
Marcus was
And then
like,
I
do you want to go to
still
lunch? And you're
couldn't
like,
get it.
yes. And then when you came back, though, Penn, when you came back, you
That
were
paragraph.
like, I am going to get that line more harder than I've ever gotten
I don't
any
think
line.
I did, though.
You definitely did.
Did
You did the thing where sometimes you kind of look down at the, like when you zero in, like
couldn't
down at
look
the
in your eyes?
camera, you were doing the thing where you kind of.
Oh, that's right. Because
it
know
wasn't
why it was
even
hard?
at my face.
This is why it was hard, because I was having to say it into the camera,
Yes.
which is which it
Yes.
can be for me. I think by the end of this series, I was really, really, really missing acting with people. So often I'm not acting with people.
Right.
You know, it's actually
Right.
you don't realize how
That's
much it's
really
happening,
hard.
but it's like those shots where it's just me thinking. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I'm meant to be looking at something, I'm never looking at that thing
Yeah.
ever.
Right.
So it's like, I think by the end, I was really feeling, I'm actually remembering this whole kind of dimension to this season. I was so tired of some aspects of Joe because I was like, I can't emote everything to a camera anymore. Like I want a
Really,
friggin'
really
scene
difficult.
partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I even asked them, like, guys, we can't do the thing. Like, I have to look at her.
Absolutely.
I'm just like, I'm past being able
All
to do
you
that
can think
anymore.
about is the line
Yes,
when you're
and how
not
you
looking
appear.
at the person.
Yeah.
Yes, and what your mouth is doing
That's
and
right,
like what's
that's right.
happening. It's just completely.
And
There's no.
it happens to be a thing for the show that they discovered in like the first two episodes, which we talked a bit about with Lee Tolan Krieger, who directed the pilot and the finale.
Yeah, I met him.
Yeah, you were.
I was in it for a second.
Anna.
And I can't find it.
But there's so often like it's the unique Joe thing where even though a lot of other people have to do it in the show, it's like just looking at the camera, guys, I may never have to do that again.
And can you, when
God, I
you're
hope
acting
not.
to the camera, can you see yourself like in the
Sometimes you can.
lens?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
It's really
Sounds
disconcerting.
horrible.
It's awful. It's terrible to have to see your own reflection of that while you're trying to do something. It's just
Had you ever had to do that as much as you did in this show before?
I've had to do it a lot. Yeah, I've had to do it a lot. It's like the tape mark thing.
Yeah.
And there was this, God, I was just watching this for some reason the other day with my friends. I was in a music video. Not a great one or anything. But the last shot of the video, they were like, you have to look at this man like you love him. Like you love him more than anything in the world. And he was like the lead singer of the band and he had left set for that last shot. And I remember they put up a pink tape mark and I had to look like I was gonna just to love it and marry it and all the things. And I just remember going, all right, did you get it? Like, I can't, because I have no idea. Like, hey, tape mark, how do you feel? You know? So yeah, it's become a thing where you really have to use your imagination, or you will get so stuck in your head that it will just be crap.
Yeah.
So let's ask it for real.
Anna, you play twins on the show. Obviously, Reagan and Maddie, they have very different vibes. How did you prepare to play each of them?
I think it started, listen, I'm kind of a woo-woo-y type gal. When I first got to New York to shoot, I was living in Brooklyn, and I specifically went to a crystal store. And I got one that represented Reagan, and I got one that represented Maddie.
Okay.
And I would actually like carry them with me on set for which day.
One for
Really?
for which?
Yes. And I also had some songs that I would like play and think about for each character. A lot of it just came from feeling. Just what it feels like to be super confident, you know, the baddest bitch in the room. Also, the wardrobe was super helpful for each character. But there's like a certain confidence, obviously, that Reagan had. And those were actually the easier days for me on set because she was so confident. And then to switch into Maddie, where I thought was going to be the easier twin, to be honest, when I got the job, she turned out to be not so easy because she was like a sad. She's a very sad, lost person.
And the way she had more going on, I feel like.
A lot more going on.
You had a lot more kind of like unpredictable sort of turns and dimensions to her.
Yes. And
that you wouldn't have predicted from the beginning.
Not at all,
right?
because you'd think that she's just like this light, fun, you know, flirty gal, when ultimately, like, the writing was so good that each script I found another layer to her, which was really exciting to play. She's very smart. She does come from a place of pure love, I do think, especially because she's very in love with Harrison, and she's been really ragged on her whole life. So it was just kind of that feeling that I would get before I would walk out onto set. And it would affect the way I walked, the way I stood. I don't know if their voices were different, but when I finally saw the scene with the two of me together, I was a little bit like, whoa, like, okay, like, I think I might have pulled that off. Like, especially, with the hair and makeup and wardrobe and the lighting, the way they shot it was wonderful. But I was kind of like, oh God, like, I see two different people. I hope that the audience sees and feels that as well.
And then you have to play Maddie playing Reagan. How did you prepare for that?
Also just a feeling of like the nerves and then what's covering it. So it's all about like like I build my internal emotional life, but you know what I mean? Like, who wants to hear about that? But it's about the feeling and then the covering, you know, that kind of thing is what I tried to do. And then there's
micro comedy. I remember that was tough stuff that we were doing in the latter half. It's like
it's a lot.
Where I was forgetting which one is which. Where Maddie, playing Reagan. It was dicey, and I mean, you navigated it just beautifully.
You nailed it.
And I mean, again, that what our show has, which I think always saves it in these kinds of storylines, is this dark camp.
Oh, hey.
Hey. That's too good. But that is, to me, you know, where you just were masterful all throughout. Like, it's, you know, clinging to the threads of comedy in there to hold it all together. You know what I mean? That's that I think is just so important.
Yeah. Thank you for noticing it, because I know we talked about this a little bit on set, like the extraordinary circumstances.
Absolutely extraordinary.
That we're having to ground and make real.
Well, basically goes into Shakespeare. You know, and I mean, it's like, and it all works out. This is the thing about our show, and actually I think so many of them, including Shakespeare. It's like, you know, you have to go to absurdity to come to this point at the end. It's all about the ending.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so there's going to be some places where we're like stretching the capacity for disbelief.
Absolutely.
That's what plays do. That's
it's entertaining when that happens.
So it is difficult when you're doing it though to know how to ground it. I mean, that's my experience with it all.
Yeah.
And it was nice. You know, for instance, for all the comedy that we have with like off camera with Charlotte, I don't think her character allowed for as much comedy.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I
Whereas
agree.
yours did. And so I think that was something that I found interesting. I don't in this show, I don't have a lot of like comedic partners. And I think I'm realizing maybe in this moment that there was something in your characters and you that it was able to happen in a way that it hadn't before.
Yeah. Okay.
With Maddie specifically.
With Maddie specifically. Yeah. I always try. I mean, when these extraordinary circumstances are happening, I'm having an affair with my twin sister's husband. I carried their child in my belly.
I forgot about that part.
If you don't have a little sense of humor while you're doing this, like it will be the worst, most melodramatic thing ever. So it's like I just kept trying. But then also if you don't fully commit to it either to the stakes, it will fall flat. So it was just, and I love tonally doing stuff like this because it's just fun for me to try to do. Anyway.
I do remember, and we can maybe cut this, but I do remember when I visited the set, I met a stand-in before I met you. And for some reason it was Penn's stand-in was doing your lines. And he said the like, hey, boo-boo line.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just like, hey, boo-boo. I don't know. He said it even more.
Hey, boo-boo.
He said it more monotone than
Very
that.
dry.
And then when you came and said it, it was just like a completely different, like it was so comedic. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like such a different experience for Penn to have to react to like that reading of it versus like when you give it.
Right.
And it was like, oh, yeah, it was like you're a comedian.
Oh,
You know? I don't know, it was
boo-boo.
somehow, yeah.
Boo-boo.
Boo-boo.
Hey, boo-boo.
Yeah.
What was it like, Anna, to come onto a show in its 5th and final season? Had you seen any of the episodes of You from prior seasons? What was that like? Tell us about it.
I was very excited to join the show. I
I was very excited
I was
to
so
join
excited.
this.
I was really excited. Stop. I watched the first season and the second season.
That's it. You lost your interest after that one.
But then I went back once I got the job. I went back and watched
and watched at least the first couple
As
episodes.
homework.
as my research.
Yeah.
It's obviously a little intimidating when you come into like a very well-oiled machine and a hit show, right? That people like the fandom is
And the
amazing.
lead can't even bother to learn his co-stars'
And the lead doesn't
names.
even know what the co-stars' names are. I obviously wanted to be good. You know, I didn't want to be like, oh, that girl, you know what I mean? Like, she's the one that's like, can't, you know, act as two people. So I needed to come in a
However
little
many years into the
Gosh, you
career.
can't do two people. Oh my God. I really wanted to be great. So like, I was definitely a little intimidated at first because I don't want to be the weak link. And I also do want to have fun though too. Like I have this thing where I used to get sucked into the energy of the set, especially if it wasn't mine. If I was a guest on a show or something, I would get sucked in. Like if they had like a really dark negative energy, I would like take it on and then I would go back to my trailer or whatever and feel like, oh, why am I not having fun? I think because I was just so aware of how everybody else was moving and operating that I would forget about myself and then my work would suffer.
So how did you avoid that in this season?
I just got drunk on set. No, but I wanted to come in and make sure that I was like, you know, like you can play. We can make jokes. I don't take myself too seriously, right? That it should be a fun environment where we get to collaborate and like breathe with one another and like fail in front of one another and all that stuff that everybody says. I definitely tried to do because I have more fun that way. So, and this is fun. Should be.
What did you find most challenging about filming besides Penn's personality?
No, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, besides working with this one over here. Oh, nice. Dig, burn, sick burn.
I mean, he's hard to work with.
Literally
to deal with.
so hard to work with. Definitely not you at all. The hardest thing about doing the show was just playing the two roles and trying to make them different. And also just like as I've gotten older as a woman, as an actress, just trying not to judge myself as much when I like see myself on camera or
Do you want me
what
to take
it
that
is.
again? Because I don't think you want people to think that you're old.
I'm so old. I'm so old. I'm 75. But you know what I mean? When you see yourself and you're getting, because a lot of people know me from Pitch Perfect, where I shot that when I was 29.
Oh my gosh.
I'm 42 now. And then my own brain, I have to.
You're kidding.
No.
She's shooting shots.
I'm 42, hey. But it's just interesting to see myself and try to just go, listen, the performance will be there. I take care of myself. I still want to have fun, but I don't want to be overly concerned with like what my face is doing or what I look like in that certain dress or whatnot. So that was a big goal of mine this season, was to just sort of be free and be accepting of my flaws.
It's like Equus all over again.
It was. It was. That Tide box, though, was nowhere to be found.
Before we go to the last question, I just want to tell a story about Anna, because I want listeners to know this. So I was on the set, and I was in the, dressing rooms, and I was filming TikToks for the Podcrushed account, and we did a couple where they will maybe be out by now, maybe not, but where there's singing happening. And I really wanted Penn and his co-stars, including Anna, to sing a Taylor Swift song. And I'm like a huge surprise. And as Podcrushed listeners know, I'm like a huge Taylor Swift fan. And I feel like Anna could tell. And Anna was like, Nava, you should be in it with us. And I felt like it was so welcoming. And I like, that was my first day meeting Anna. I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but it was like so sweet. And I was like, no, like there's no reason for me to be in this. I'm the person filming it. And we had to like go get a PA to film it because Anna was like insistent. Yeah. And I just thought that was like so generous. And and I'm like, I've been in love with Anna ever since, because it was just so caring and generous for her to do that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. You also had like such a beautiful voice when we were practicing that I thought it would be such a shame if you did not be in the song.
And Penn kept trying to shove me off. He was like, that I believe. And Anna was like, no, let her be in it.
Definitely. I'm so happy that you were in it. Yeah,
so
you made
Anna.
it. So of course, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. I hope people.
That one TikTok was actually surprisingly bonding.
Yeah,
because we also had Justin in there and
Charlotte.
And
Charlotte, it was so fun.
That was a fun one. It took a lot.
It took a lot actually. And we also had to like look different ways, and we didn't know like exactly how to make it good. Yeah. I couldn't hear anyone's phone with the music on. It was a good story, Anna. I was like, can you turn that up? And somebody was like, it's not my phone. Yeah. I was like, somebody turn it up. We got to get back to work.
Anna, our last question.
I'm sweating every time Jiminy gets on. I love it. Oh. Okay, last question.
Now, if you could go
back to your 12-year-old back to your 12-year-old self.
Okay.
Assuming you wouldn't beat her.
I love when he gets British.
Yeah, he gets so intense. He gets so intense.
Spit comes flying out of his mouth.
What if you could go back to your 12-year-old self? What would you say or do?
I would give my 12-year-old self a hug, a huge hug, and just say, it's going to be okay. You're cool. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're actually really cool. Because I felt like such a dork, and I struggled a lot, and I just want to be like, you're cool, and you're going to be okay. Aww. That's all.
Sweet.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. I feel like I can hear something. It's like got maturity and wisdom, but something else that's sweet with the way you said, like, I felt like such a dork. I really feel that. I really feel that.
Yeah.
But it's very sweet.
Total dork.
Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you for having me, you guys. I'm really happy that I finally got to join you.
Been waiting all this time.
I know. I hope it was worth your wait.
Definitely. Bye, Jiminy.
Bye, Jiminy. See you tomorrow, Jiminy.
Podcrushed is hosted by Penn Badgley, Nava Kavalin, and Sophie Ansari. Our senior producer is David Ansari, and our editing is done by Clips Agency. Special thanks to the folks at Lemonada. And as always, you can listen to Podcrushed ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership. Okay, that's all. Bye.
Anna, you play twins, and sorry,
It's funny. It's funny. Twins are funny.
Anna's
I don't know why I got tickled. How did you prepare to play each of them differently? Because
I would wake up in the morning and I would wake up in the morning.
It's so good.
I love how funny
Dig
that
in deep.
was.
Dig in deep.
Funny that this is to you.